As veterans, we struggle to fit in. Taught to never let feelings win. Lost in a world full of fear and pain. We all have hung our heads in shame. When we look up, we see hands reaching out. There is so much support about it. Comes from above and others around. Please take a hand and rise from the ground. Stand up and fight for your life. Walk away from negativity. Don't give in to strife. Show up for yourself. Find your voice. Keep moving forward. You have a choice. Give compassion for the child inside. Healing pain, let hope reside. Lost you will no longer be. Then you can help set others free. Now speak up and with us share the tools that make pain easy to bear. Advocate for others to lighten their load. Use your voice and join our show. On Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie, we heal out loud, PTSD to advocacy.
And what's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining us on another show of Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. And we are really live today. We are really live. And I know that a lot of times when you guys watch us, you're watching a pre recorded show, and it's usually on a Saturday. Today, we thought we would go live. It's Memorial Day. So we want to take that time to honor those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country, for our fellow brothers and sisters, for our people. But I hope everybody's having an amazing Memorial Day out there. We are really live, so if you want to comment and say hello, we will interact with you and talk with you. But how are we doing today, Marie?
Doing good. I'm just posting the link right now on Facebook for
So I should have
people
just
to
kept on
see.
talking.
Huh? No,
Should I just
you're
have good-
totally fine. I just wanted to get it out there. I'm just saying we are live. So for those of you who can watch it, come check it out. There we go. So
Yep, and I even got the little chat going at the bottom. So I mean, either people are gonna look like we had a show going, or we're by ourselves.
yeah, and that's okay. This is kind of like a last minute thing. Like, let's do it. We were supposed to have a guest today, and he wasn't able to make it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I think it's a good opportunity to have a show like today and kind of honor a lot of our brothers and sisters who unfortunately aren't here today. And a lot of people I think take this day as a day of like barbecuing, and it's a day off of work. But I think there's others out there that it kind of signifies it's something a little bit different. When I was in high school and stuff like that, I did look at Memorial Day as a day off of school and stuff like that. I didn't really know the absolute meaning of it until I served our country. And once I served our country, had the opportunity or unfortunate opportunity to deploy, but that is at the moment in time where I've learned about what the ultimate sacrifice looks like. And there's a lot of many men and women that didn't make it home. There's a lot of men and women that made it home and didn't make it here on our own soil, right? And we want to make sure that we honor all of them, and yes, I'm getting a little emotional or something here.
Oh, I'll cry at some point today. It's just
But,
not.
I think it's a good opportunity, like I said, to, honor those that, aren't here to do it. And we're gonna start off with a little video. This is a Memorial Day video. Um, Thought it would be something that would be awesome to kinda share as we get this going. Let me, cue it on up. Welcome in, everybody, and you are really watching us live, like I said. So if you're listening to us on the audio side, this might sound a little, weird because we are, going live. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and we're gonna disappear.
The sight before us is that of a strong and good nation that stands in silence and remembers those who were loved and who, in return, loved their countrymen enough to die for them. Yet we must try to honor them, not for their sakes alone, but for our own. And if words cannot repay the debt we owe these men, surely with our actions, we must strive to keep faith with them and with a vision that led them to battle and a final sacrifice. Our first obligation to them and ourselves is plain enough. The United States and the freedom for which it stands, the freedom for which they died, must endure and prosper. Their lives remind us that freedom is not bought cheaply. It has a cost. The willingness of some to give their lives so that others might live never fails to evoke in us a sense of wonder and mystery, and how they must have wished, in all the ugliness that war brings, that no other generation of young men to follow would have to undergo that same experience. As we honor their memory today, let us pledge that their lives, their sacrifices, their valor shall be justified and remembered for as long as God gives life to this nation. And let us also pledge to do our utmost to carry out what must have been their wish, that no other generation of young men will ever have to share their experiences and repeat their sacrifice.
Alright. Wow. Oh, man. Um, I felt that. And, I wanna say that, to all the family members, uh, anybody that has lost someone, um, God bless you on this day. I know this day hits you a little bit differently than most. Um, but when you just look at the numbers on the walls, the numbers of the graves, the sites, the national cemeteries, it goes to show you how awesome in reality this country is. And I know that there's a lot of shit in this country going on, and it feels like it's a horrible place. But I assure you, there's a lot of places worse than this. But something that I can tell you from serving myself and watching that video, nothing more comes together. People come together when when it's about fighting for their lives, fighting for their rights, fighting for their freedoms. And I've watched that. I've watched people come from all different states, different backgrounds, different religions. I've watched people just love on each other and not care. And the military did that. Our men and women, they sacrifice a lot, and I don't think people understand the sacrifice because you get to live your day in day out, and a lot of times when you live your day in day out, it's easy to forget what others are sacrificing for you to be able to do that. So I just want to thank you to all the women and men that have served our country, the ones that haven't made it home. God bless their families and the survivors. And we're here to carry on their legacy, and that's, a big thing about Memorial Day where a lot of people out there, I think, start to misunderstand is, a lot of people want to thank veterans and stuff, which that's all good and dandy. But for me, Memorial Day is about the ones that have made the ultimate sacrifice. I'm here every single day. I can, people can say thank you for my service every single day. A lot of these men and women that have fallen, we don't even hear their names. Sometimes you don't even hear them on Memorial Day. And there's a large list of men and women that have came through and died and paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. There's a long list of men and women. It's crazy. But we're gonna let Marie read a poem like we usually do, and then we'll kind of get on and have a little bit of a discussion, and then yeah, this kind of be a little short and sweet one. Probably you're not going to get a 2-hour deal from us. Some of you might be saying, "Yay, a short show," but we'll see how long Marie and I go. What's considered short for us? Y'all ready?
Yes, I was just looking up. If you are interested, before I forget, if you are interested, Grunt Style LLC has a website. And if you go to gruntstyle.com and you look up Honor the Fallen, there is actually an opportunity, if I am remembering correctly, but they have a list that I believe, hold on, sorry, I'm trying to find the list. Read names. There is an opportunity. Yeah, there we go. You can claim a 10-minute block of names online, and you can record yourself reading them. So if you want to participate in getting every name spoken this year, every name spoken, you can go on to Grunt Style and look it up. And they have just a block of names. And I believe it's 20 names, if I remember. And you just spend about 10 minutes just speaking their names. So you can look up people that you know yourself and find the block that person is in, or you can just claim a block. So please, if you're interested, go to Grunt Style, look up their memorial roll call to read the names and participate today if you are available.
Wow, I love that. That's awesome. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and cue you up and allow you to do what you do.
Okay. So, hey guys, this is actually my second live stream today. I participated with the Price of Freedom Foundation. They are people who will honor the fallen individually, and they will talk to battle buddies and family members of someone who has passed away and create a book for them. So check them out. The Price of Freedom. Dennis Schroeder is the one who has started that. And he's currently right now doing another live. So when you get off with us, go check out his page. But with that, I was able to share a poem that I wrote on the 5th of May. Because one of the things that I have really been feeling lately is that those messages from the other side. And as many people know, we're losing a lot of veterans to suicide and addiction and accidental death, with regards to addiction and mental health struggles. And one of the biggest things that I have recognized is I have those messages, negative messages coming on the other side still. I'm 9 years sober now. When I got back from my deployment, I was very, very lost in a lot of depression and anxiety and victim mentality. And part of me getting sober is challenging that. And with that, I'm still hearing those negative messages, from my addictions, from my trauma, but also from the external forces that come in, whatever you want to call it, evil, negativity, Satan, whatever you want to call it. I've got those that negative programming that is coming in. And so one of the things that I've really been focusing on is what messages am I listening to? And as I've read on this podcast before, I have another poem that's called My Squad of Angels. And I believe all those who have gone before and have yet to come are in my squad of angels, and especially those who I knew from, during my deployment that passed away then, and those that passed away since we got back. They're all part of my squad of angels. And so this is a poem that I wrote to help me remember to listen to the positive messages instead of the negative. So it's called Messages from the Other Side. Messages from the other side, the place where all spirits reside, resonate so deep within and often come from my kin. Some come from friends long gone or others who passed. Some I've done wrong. I tend to get lost reminiscing, finding myself endlessly listing all the wrongs in my past, words not said or harsh ones cast. When I feel self-condemnation, I make the choice of resignation. I know that message very well. That voice wants me to live in hell. Making the choice to refocus my mind, I start thinking of words that are kind. I listen to spirits speaking to me who genuinely want me to be free. The ones that don't think I am damned for the hurts caused by my hand. They offer opportunities to make amends through community. Then I think of those in need who may need me to plant a seed, one of hope in recovery as they go through self-discovery. I cannot change my past choices. When I help others, God rejoices. So do the spirits round about. I can almost hear them shout. With Christ, they are holding me. They lift me high so I can see above the clouds of blame and shame, so I'm not blinded by the pain. As I am healing day by day, I share with others how I found a way to heal from my list of trauma and overcome my life of drama. Living amends to those still around, I open my heart so love can abound. I do my best to take better actions and not get lost in overreactions. As I do this, the message gets louder that the other side couldn't be prouder. My squad of angels holds me tighter. The weight of my past keeps getting lighter. I'm no longer bound by mistakes I have made, for at Christ's feet they have been laid. I hope one day I no longer fight the messages I know are right, the ones that bring internal peace, for then self-punishment may finally cease.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Um, something that I want to do real quick that I used to do this on every day of Saturday for a couple seasons, and then I kind of totally forgot that I used to do this. And it's funny, I was kind of having a chat with good old AI GBT and talking about the show. And one thing that it said is that people appreciate the buddy check. I used to always do a buddy check. So we're gonna kind of go back, and I'm gonna talk to everybody out there, and I want to make sure everybody out there, you're doing well. If not, please check on somebody. Go out there, check on one of your brothers and sisters, not just a text. Give them a phone call. Listen to their voice. Hear them. And we even have the luxury of now of like FaceTime and ways to actually see each other. So if you feel like your battle buddy out there is in a bad place, they don't sound right, give them some words of encouragement. Be that ear that they may need to someone to vent to. I get it. The world is a rough place. It's rough times. People are struggling. I mean, the economy is going up there, and we're not making the money. So a lot of people out there are really struggling. So if you are struggling out there, remember to reach out to someone and get some help. There's also the crisis lifeline. You as a veteran, you could press 1. Now, I've heard mixed reviews about Crisis Lifeline, right? Just like anything else you go to, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So don't stop there, though, right? Just because one place looks like a dead end for you, keep on going, keep on reaching out. There is someone out there. And also, don't be afraid to email myself or Marie. There's that too. You can email us, shoot us an email, let us know how you're doing. And I just want to say, I love everybody out there. I hope that everybody is doing amazing, and I want to see you flourish. I want to see you have an amazing life and try to get rid of some of that negative energy in your life. You know what I mean? So we want to have everybody with us. So we're not talking more about some of the numbers and some of the names that we have to talk about. But now we're going to go ahead and once again, you guys are seeing us. Really, we're live. So I hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day, and I hope you're taking that time to remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for us and our freedoms. So that way you could have the day off. You could be barbecuing, or maybe you're still out there grinding and working. But nevertheless, Marie and I are here. So if you want to pop in and give us a hello on the comments, we'll say hi back. This is real. This is real. We're not pre-recorded. This time we're really live. I know a lot of times you guys come in here and you chat with pre-recorded and we're not chatting back. I feel horrible. I try to make those as much as I can. But sometimes I even forget that they're out there. So it's like I have to remember to put a reminder on my phone to get on there and look. But Marie, let's go ahead and talk about some of the fallen. I know that you have experienced quite a few losses on your side. So let's go ahead and take that opportunity, kind of talk about some of these that we've lost.
Yeah. So I actually have a list out because I, again, was on this other live stream. And so I'm just going to share some of the names and I'll share some of the connections that I have. So some of these people that I will be reading were lost during the deployment. And some of them, most of them were lost since we've been back. Some of them were accidental. There's a couple that there's a suspicion that there was murder, but most of them were part of the 22. But out of respect for their families, I'm not going to say who is who, which is which. I just, that's their story if they want to tell. But for now, I'm just going to speak their names and get it out there. And there's also a couple that I didn't deploy with that are very special to me that I'm going to share as well. So the first one is Erin McClyman. And so Erin, I've spoken about her on here before. And Erin was somebody that was just a go-getter. I actually had the opportunity to interview her mom last night and to just have a one-on-one conversation. Her mom has agreed to come on the podcast to share her story and share the story of her daughter. And she's going to be here, I believe, in November. And I'm super excited. So we just did like a little pre-interview. I got to know her and she told me a little bit more about Erin. And Erin was just somebody that was just, she was willing to jump into life, like head first. She was somebody that was a protector. She was somebody that just lived by the beat of her own drum. And her story was, oh, sorry.
Hey, Peter, no, keep on talking. Though, if I'm
Okay.
waving,
I thought you were talking to me. Okay. But
I know you're not used to this part.
Yeah.
We're live.
I am not used to the live. So if I'm
Peter,
seeing
man.
Bryan do some weird stuff, it's going to be interesting. But anyways.
Not convulsing over here. Not, you know what I mean? Like,
So anyway, so Erin was a mechanic. I worked at Charlie Med and in Charlie Company, and she was in Bravo Company, and we deployed in 2009. And December of 2009, she got sent home on leave. And when she got home on leave at some point in January, she was at the bar with her sister and she had stepped outside for a minute. When she came back in, her sister was being jumped by 5 other women. And so without even hesitating, without even a thought in her mind, she just jumped in the middle to protect her sister. And her sister was able to get away, but Erin had broke her neck in the process. Now she broke her neck, and that was that should have been it. She wasn't supposed to come back to our deployment. We had deployed in August, and we were going to be there until July. But they told her that she couldn't come back. She fought, and from what I heard, she got like a congressional pardon, or I don't remember what the word is. Not a pardon, but waiver, congressional waiver to get her back to the deployment. And I saw her the day that she got back. We had mutual friends, and so we were having dinner and just hanging out. And I just remember that she just had this very infectious laugh and smile, and she was just super kind. And I had some really good friends who were really good friends with her. The next day, she got sent to another fob or cob. And that day she was walking to the DFAC and a mortar hit, and sadly she was killed on impact. And it was so heart-wrenching, and it was so sad. And I just remember the mourning that happened in our unit after she passed away. She was very loved. She was very loved. And since then, the DFAC actually has changed their name to honor her, which is fantastic. And I also found out that her high school named, I don't know what, but named something after her as well. And so she's got people, like, she made an impact, and there are people that are really sad that she's gone and are fighting to honor her memory. And so that is Erin. Erin was just awesome. And the next two names that I'm going to share they were involved in a rollover in Iraq. Their striker, the higher ups told them to turn around on a bridge, and they went over. And sadly, Todd Selge and Jordan Shea did not make it. And the others, I believe there was 5 in the striker. They were all injured. But from what I hear, Todd Selge and Jordan Shea were just some really amazing guys that just were there for their men. And there was a lot of sadness when they passed away. They were sadly my first casualties as a medic when I was over there, when I first got there. And as I shared on the last live stream that I was on, I used their death. I honored their death in the wrong way, because I used their deaths as an excuse to fall deeper into my addictions and deeper into my victim mentality. And so since I've been sober, one of my goals has been, how can I honor them in a better way? How can I honor their memory instead of use them as an excuse? And so, as I have spoken before, we have another veteran podcast, which is Homefront Sitrep, that we're connected to. And Gunny, who is one of the co-hosts, he runs an organization that is called Team Fast Tracks. And what they do is they do honor jumps. And so I had the opportunity to talk about them to Gunny, and Gunny, within like seconds, he already had one of the jumps set up. And since then, he has done an honor jump for Erin, Todd, and Jordan. And it was just so amazing, so please check them out. But again, part of what I've been doing, since I got sober, and especially since I've been doing this podcasting, is sharing the stories of those we lost who can't speak for themselves, and then giving a voice to them. And so that's one of the things that I've been trying to do. And so those are the 3 that I knew of, that I was connected to personally, that we lost during the 09 to 10 deployment to Iraq. Now, with those 3, again, I used them all as an excuse. When I ended up getting medically discharged. And when I got medically discharged, I was very lost in my addictions, in my victim mentality, and in my survivor's guilt, because I was lost in my addictions already. And so I wasn't the best soldier. And so I get into I would get into my head a lot, like, oh, if I were better, maybe they would still be here. If I did my job, poor me, pity me. And I was beating myself up. And then, oh, well, I saw these dead bodies and now I am, this is going to traumatize me for life. And that was true. But I was in this victim mentality, and I just couldn't get out of it. And I know that there's a lot of other people that get stuck in their grief and mourning. And instead of actually feeling the grief and mourning, they get stuck in the guilt and shame. And with the guilt and shame, and the anger and the frustration, it doesn't allow us to properly grieve. And so it took me many years. And when we got back from the deployment, I had a lot of issues before I joined the military, because as those of that may be watching, I came from a lot of childhood trauma as well. Foster care, adoption, sexual abuse, rape. I dealt with a lot of this stuff, and then I joined the military and never faced it. And then I went to Iraq and dealing with the dead bodies and dealing with the mortars and dealing with the insecurities and all of this stuff. I just never faced it all. So when we got back from the deployment and then I got medically discharged and felt like I had no worth, I had no journey, I had no value, no anything. I just felt lost. I got lost in my addictions, and there was the food addiction, the sex addiction, the drugs, the alcohol. It was anything that I could do to make myself feel better. And I didn't even realize how depressed I was. I didn't realize how suicidal I was. When I got sober, that was when I started realizing all of the accidents I would think about, I would imagine in my brain. Oh, I'm driving. If I just turn slightly, I could go over the guardrail and hit these oncoming cars and be dead. Or if I'm driving, I could hit this four-way stop just good enough, or there I could be going next to this light or something, and somebody can just come and T-bone me. Like, in my mind, I was so suicidal, and I just didn't know how to live. And I know that there's so many people that are also stuck in that. And when I got sober, I had to go through all of this mental health stuff, right? And so I'm bringing this up because this was kind of my journey of dealing with this depression, this anxiety, this victim mentality, the survivor's guilt. There was so much pain that I was lost in and stuck in the addictions. And when I got sober, I realized it was because mentally I was not okay. And so I went through this journey of working through my mental health. And around 2020 was when things got really heavy for me, even in my sobriety, when the isolation happened. And that was so rough for so many other people that I deployed with. And then I just started hearing about people dropping like flies. Again, some of them accidental, some of them to suicide, some of them to their addictions, and I share my own story to say, like, that could have easily been me. That could have so easily been me, and I'm so grateful that wasn't my path, and I have so much compassion for people that it was their path, And so I've got a few names that I'm going to share here of people that I some of them that I knew and some of them that I did not know, but that passed away just within those couple of years. There was one in 2019, a couple in 2020 and 2021. And then there's a few other names that I have found out just between 2011 and now, and I don't have all the details of them, but I'm going to share these names. These are the people that were in my unit that have passed away, and I don't know all their stories. But there's Annabelle Chong. Annabelle Chong was my best friend. One of my best friends. There were four of us, that were just super close. And Annabelle was she was just so sweet. And I still remember she used to come up to me and be like, Slidey, like that was her nickname for me. And it was just so sweet. She was just an amazing, amazing woman. And she was one of those that passed. And then you've got Raymond Rivera. And Rico was a good friend of mine. I was friends with him and his wife, and I was able to support them through some really hard times right before I left Washington. But he was one that sadly passed away. And then there's Dustin Morrissey. I didn't really know him as well. I met him, but I was mostly friends with his wife. His wife was in Charlie Med with me. And then you've got Kai Lamar Evans. He was another one that was in our unit. Marco Mastro Giovanni. I don't think that I met him. Alexander Leatherwood, Kelsey Hott, Robert Engelhard, John Carpenter, Kareem Rahman, Jason Barrera, Stephen Greenwell, Eric Flores, Ryan McCormick. And then from the deployment before me, I've got 2 names there. And that was Tiana Avery Felder and Isla Rubalcaba. And I wanted to say with Isla Rubalcaba, her brother is actually in the process of he has a petition where he's trying to get a VA in El Paso to name themselves after her. So if you're interested in signing the petition, check out my Facebook page, look up Marie Slider Henriksen, and I have shared it on there. I would love to have you support and help him get her name on there. So outside of my unit, I've got 4 more names for you. And, we also have Stephen Johnson. And Stephen Johnson was one of my NCOs in the unit that I was attached to while I was deployed. So we had gotten pretty close as well. So then I've got 3 more names that were not in my unit. And one of them of note is Jeffrey Perkins. And when I first got sober, Jeff took me under his wing and he taught me how to live sober. He taught me how to overcome that victim mentality with the military. He was just such an amazing, amazing man. And we used to go work out all the time together. Like he in his younger days was a bodybuilder. And so he was still, I believe he was in his 60s and he still was lean and muscular. And like he would lift weights like you've got these big old huge bodybuilders in there and he would make it look like candy, like super easy, like, oh yeah, that's just chump stuff. Like he would be there just pounding the weights, but he was just such a good man and just this huge smile that could just make your whole soul melt. Like he was such a good man. And in 2020, he was gone. And it was really heartbreaking, And so then the last 2 are ones that are super special to me. And it is number 1 is my grandpa. So my grandpa was in the Army Air Corps. He passed away when I was 9. And I just wanted to put his name out there because on Memorial Day, we remember everyone who served and we remember everyone who's lost. And we remember that even when we get back from the deployment, we still have the fight going on and we are still soldiers and we are still continuing on. So no matter how long you are out of the military, your service is still remembered and still honored. And so my grandpa is one of those. He did his time in the Army Air Corps back in, I don't even remember. I think it was in the 40s or something like that. He was there a long time ago, And then, of course, we have my dad, Timothy Slider. Oh, my grandpa, I don't know if I said his name, John Fred Schroeder. And I don't know if it was Jonathan. I think it's just John Fred Schroeder. But that's my mom's dad. And then my dad, Timothy Slider. And his father was Alva, and Alva was also in the Navy, if I remember correctly. My dad was Navy for about 4 years between 1960 and 1964. And my dad was a code breaker. And he actually at one point was working in Washington with the NSA. And he said he couldn't give me all the details and whatnot, but he said at some point he was involved with the beginning stages of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like he overheard stuff. I don't know exactly, but anyways, like I found out he was a little secret squirrely, but he passed away last year. And so I continue to honor him, and he loved being in the military. And he was the only one in my family that was military besides me that I was close to, because I didn't know his dad, and my grandpa passed away when I was a child, but that was the one special thing that my dad and I had, that we were both military. And so he was always so supportive, and he was so proud of his military service. He was the old man, in his 80s with dementia, walking around with his Navy hat on. And he was just such a good man and so sweet. So all of those names and everyone else that I did not know, I honor you guys today. I honor you. And there is a quote. I don't know if you guys noticed the shirt that I'm wearing, and I do not get paid for this. So this is just a free shout out for an amazing, amazing program. If you guys haven't heard from them, the Till Valhalla Project. Okay, Till Valhalla Project. They do such amazing work at honoring the fallen. They have a huge Facebook community, for everybody. They sell these t-shirts, and proceeds go to getting plaques for people who have passed away. And whether it was during deployments or in the rear D, or since we've gotten back, and they do plaques and send them to the family members. And you can actually sign up to be somebody that delivers those plaques. So if you're interested in supporting, check them out. But there's a quote that their founder wrote. And before I read this quote, let me just explain. One of the reasons, from my understanding, and this is just me, so don't quote me. From my understanding, one of the reasons they chose Till Valhalla is the idea that Valhalla is where warriors go when they die. And the idea is that as veterans and service members, even if we're not in the deployment, we are still fighting a war within. And especially if we've deployed and we came back, we never really fully came home, because we are still having that fight internally. And so the idea is, if we are lost by our own hand or by an accident when we got back from out of the military, we are still going to Valhalla, because we are fighting as warriors every single day. And so that's something that I just love that sentiment. But he has this quote that he has put on a shirt. And again, I don't get paid for this. This is just, most of my t-shirts are Till Valhalla Project, because I just have so much respect and honor for them. But one of these quotes is just something that I try to remember and I try to live by. A hero never dies until the last time their name is spoken. Continue to honor them, and they will live on forever. And so that is Corey Schaefer, Till Valhalla Project. And that is what I'm trying to do. I try to continue to honor those that we've lost, and I try to be there and support the ones that are still here, so they know that they're not alone. So I will say this, and I will say this again, over and over and over again. If you are struggling, remember that you are not alone. You can call 988. You can call Bryan. You can call me. You can reach out, and we will help you get resources. Know that our service, even whether you deployed or not, it was not in vain. And you don't need to be one of those that we have to remember today. You don't have to be one of those. So please keep fighting. Honor those that we've lost. I am so grateful, to be here. Thank you, Bryan, for letting me share those names. And, I have a huge soft spot in my heart for the families of those that we've lost before, during, and after, the deployment. And I honor you. I honor the families, and I honor the names.
Thank you for that. And we'll read a quick comment here from Peter Klinger. My father was a communications expert, and his claim to fame is he knocked General Douglas MacArthur on his ass going down the stairs on an air raid. One time, MacArthur said, "You need to get knocked on your ass sometimes. You need to get knocked on your ass sometimes." I imagine that's what he said. That's great, man. Arthur Rudolph Klinger. Thank you for that, Peter. And if anybody else out there wants someone to, want us to say someone's name out loud, let us know. We'll be more than happy to, remember them. And then that goes for anybody out there. If you have someone that has fallen and you feel like their names just have been forgotten about, email us. Give us an email, and we'll be happy to honor them. We'll find a portion in the show that we can honor our brothers and sisters that have made the ultimate sacrifice, because I think it's important. I want to take this opportunity to share someone that I know who passed. I deployed in 2003. I was part of the initial push, and I got there in January of 2003 in Kuwait, and was part of the loading off all the ships and getting it together. And there was a dude I used to work with before I had left. This place called Lake Hughes. It was up in a campground, and I cleaned cabins and stuff. And this kid that was there, his dad was kind of like the director of the camp. His name was Ian Stewart, right? And I joined the Marine Corps, and when I joined, there was a kid that Ian and I both worked with. His name was Isaac Warble, and Isaac and I ended up going into boot camp the exact same day. I ended up picking up Isaac with my recruiter, and him and I both went off to boot camp. And there's a hilarious story with Warble. This fool tried to sneak in yogurts into our barracks in boot camp. And when we were doing the up and down, it splattered everywhere. And this fool was just freaking the hell out, like looking at me like, help, help, Um, but anyhow, this other guy, Ian, um, Richard D. Cope Breuer. Maybe I'm saying that name wrong. I'm not sure. Hopefully I said that right. But anyhow, back to what I was getting ready to say. Corporal Ian Stewart. He ended up joining after Warble and I had no clue, right, that he ended up joining. And unfortunately, he was killed over there in 2004, when things over there were really high. Let me share this real quick. And if anybody out there, if you want to go look up anybody that you know that has fallen, you can go to this website. It's thefallen.militarytimes.com. Go enter their name, and it has all the different wars of, kind of, I would say, as of more in the 2000s. But this one talks about Ian Stewart. I'm going to go ahead and read his story. He's out of Camp Pendleton. He was killed in Iraq. He lived in Lake Hughes, California. Corporal Ian Stewart joined the military 3 years ago to find himself. This is the story when it came out. To find himself, his family, and his friends said he picked the Marines because he thought it would give him the discipline and the focus he needs in figuring out who he's supposed to be, said Roy Dole, who led a weekly Bible study attended by Stewart. Stewart was 21, was killed November 12th by a small arms fire while his unit was clearing a house in Fallujah. And for a lot of you that don't know, Fallujah was a really hot spot, a very, very lot of casualties in Fallujah. He was assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, based out of Camp Pendleton. We were praying for his safety, but God moved differently. We trust God's judgment, said his father, Dana Stewart, who I know. His dad was the head guy at the camp. But we have real peace. We're confident we'll see him again, and the beautiful smile of his in heaven. He enlisted days after graduation, finishing boot camp the week of September 11th during the terrorist attacks. He deployed to Iraq on September 11th on 2004. Family and friends said he thought of becoming a firefighter and wanted to travel around Europe. Most of all, he was passionate about cars, particularly the GMC Sonoma he bought this summer. He was very respectful, responsible, and courteous. You could tell he had a good heart and was going in the right direction. said Patricia, being a former instructor. His father remembered how the family spent time together before his son shipped out, walking around Dana Point and having lunch in San Juan Capistrano. It was just the most special day. We realized it at the time, but we realized it more now, his father said. So rest in peace, Corporal Ian Stewart of the United States Marine Corps. Um, I when I worked with him, he was a littler dude, and just a really cool kid, man, really outgoing. I had no idea him or Isaac would end up joining the Marine Corps. It was really crazy that they both became Marines. But yeah. So let's say good morning. His brother Richard D. Cope is who came home from Vietnam. That's Peter Klinger. We're saying out his name. So once again, if anybody out there wants us to say anybody's name while we're here, you are watching us. This is really legit live, and we're on here just talking about some of the people that we know that have fallen, and just in general. I imagine there's a lot of family members out there, like I said, that struggle hard with this day. Um, we feel you guys. We feel that pain. Um, this is a different kind of day, I think, for some. Like I said, for me, I woke up with just a little bit of heavier heart, and I just had opened up a story about a Marine female who got killed at the hands of her own husband at her home. It's just happened like a couple days ago, and so um, it's sad. We're not just losing men and women overseas, but we lose them here on soil every single day at the hands of our own people. And it just goes to play in with a lot of the chaos that's going on in the world and all the division that's pouring into our world. It's ugly. But let's not forget about the ones who paid the ultimate sacrifice for each and every one of us to enjoy this, not for us to sit here and fight each other and kill each other over fucking red and blue or up and down, whatever it may be. It's a real sad to watch our country go through what we did when we sit there and have to go through all these names of men and women who have died and gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And then we just the ones that are survivors, we watch all this, and for me, it hits me a little bit different. I've learned a lot about myself and everything because of it all. And it really makes me sad to think of there's so many people out there that have lost their life thinking they're fighting for the better of the good. We cannot allow these men and women to die in vain.
So something I was just thinking about. I saw a video the other day, and I can't remember. Veteran with a sign. There's a guy that has a Facebook following, and his page is called Veteran with a Sign. I reached out to him. If you're listening, dude, come on our podcast. I'd love to have you. But he just kind of says some of the stuff that's just, it should be obvious. Right. And one of the things that he did was he's like, hey, today, and I can't remember the wording and whatnot, but he said, today is not about all the barbecues. It's not about all of that kind of stuff. And he said, this is what it's about. And he did a portion of the song Chicken Fried by the Zac Brown Band.
Yeah,
and like in the Zac Brown Band, or in this song Chicken Fried, if you haven't heard about it, right, it talks about, like, I like my chicken, talking about beer on a Friday night, talks about all this stuff and like all of this stuff. But then he takes a verse to be like, but this is why I have this, right? And so it says, I thank God for my life and for the stars and stripes. May freedom forever fly, let it ring. Salute the ones who died, the ones that gave their lives, so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love, like our chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night. Anyways, and then he goes on. But I just love that because he's like talking about all of this, like enjoying life, but also, hey, let's remember why we have that. And that is, anyways, so the veteran with the sign guy, he's like, yeah, we got the barbecue, it's cool. But remember to thank God for your life and for the stars and stripes and for the people that were lost to give you this. And like I was listening to someone the other day. I can't remember if it was on another podcast or maybe I don't even remember if it was on our podcast or whatnot. But somebody was saying that there was somebody being very, very disrespectful to him about his military service. And he's like, well, I'm so glad that I deployed to give you the freedom to tell me that to my face. And I was just like, damn.
Like, let me put you in your place real quick.
Yeah.
What you gonna say next?
Yeah. So I just think it's awesome. I'm grateful to remember those that have passed away because, they put their life on the line for us.
And I think that's an important part of it too, right? Is that they put the line on their life for us. So a lot of us out here, we should be living for them as well, right? And living the life that they wish they could have got to live. And I imagine, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's why I was saying before, like I thought that I was honoring these people by drinking for them. And this is no shame for anybody who drinks.
Pour some
No
out for the
shame.
homies, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
But yeah,
No shame at all. If that's what you do, then you do that. But for me, I realized when I got sober, like I
you're
was
like one
just
bottle for
using-
this person,
Yes.
one
Like
bottle for you.
I was drinking in their honor to get myself drunk and to hide from my pain. I was using them as an excuse to continue in my addictions. I wasn't honoring them. It was I was using them. I was a victim and using them to stand on their names like, "Oh, well, you don't understand what I've been through. I've lost so and so and I've dealt like this. If you lost this, if you deployed, you would be doing the same thing as me." That's kind of where I was. And I didn't even realize I was there until I got sober and started seeing the patterns of behavior, and so the reality is that I wasn't honoring them the way that they needed to be honored, and so in my sobriety, that's one of the things that I'm working on. And something I shared on the other live stream was that idea that, I was so lost in the addictions and grieving in the wrong way. Like I was holding on to shame. I was holding on to guilt. I was holding on to frustration. And that first 4th of July, when the fireworks went off for the first time ever, because I used to not make fun, but I used to be like, oh, everybody who is reacting to fireworks or the loud noises, like PTSD, oh, what a scam, what a sham. Like in my mind, like I wouldn't say it out loud, but in my mind, that's how I felt. Like, I don't know why. It's not that big of a deal. Like why are you letting these people dying affect you? Why are you letting your deployment affect you? And then I realized, oh, I had been drinking every time I would think about them. I wasn't allowing myself to feel it. And so that first 4th of July, when my sobriety, when the noise hit, the mortar set, and it sounds like a flipping mortar or gunfire, right? I hit the ground crying. And it wasn't just because of the noise, it was because of the memories that were brought back from the noise. And I was right back in Iraq, and I was right back losing the people that I know. And I was right back
You're
feeling
taught to
all
react
of
a
that stuff.
certain way to
Yes.
those noises, right?
Yes.
Like you hear
Yes.
fucking boom,
But
running for cover.
yeah. And so that's when I started realizing that I had guilt and shame and sadness and mourning that I wasn't allowing myself to do. And so that's one of the big things since I've been sober is how can I honor these people in a better way? How can I process through my own trauma so I don't use their situation? Because here is the thing too, right? It is my trauma that I experienced it, but it was their trauma that led to them being gone. And so like I was saying that and I don't know how to word this right, but I was saying that my trauma outweighed theirs in a sense. And for me, that's true, right? My stuff is going to affect me, but I don't feel like I was respecting their name in the way that it needed to be respected. And so where I'm at
Were you
now
one-upping them?
yes. Yes. You died, but I'm still here and now I'm stuck. Is kind of where I was at. And that's where that victim mentality was. Like, you died, poor me. And so I didn't even realize that. And so now it's like, hey, they passed away and I get to live to honor their memory and to recognize their trauma and to recognize, recognize what happened to them. I don't have to use them in my pity party anymore. But I like that. That's a good word. I was one-upping them. You died, and now I'm going to pity me because you died. And I didn't even know that I was there. And you don't know what you don't know, right? And like, I'm not saying everybody who drinks in the honor of somebody who passed is doing that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying my own mentality. When I got sober, I realized that that's what I was doing.
Yeah, and see, when you're in the midst of it all, it's hard to see what you're doing, right? Like, and then it's hard to see that bird's sight of bird's view or whatever the hell is going on. But once you get yourself out of that mold, you're able to kind of get yourself up and start realizing, like, oh shit, I was doing this, I was doing this, ooh, I was doing that. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of realization comes, I think, with when you don't have something to like kind of found it down. I don't know how else to put it, but or bog it down or just put a lot of fog on you. Um, but and I think we all internally do things differently, right? And I think there is people out there that always put themselves in the tit for tat, like, whoa, the one uppers. You know what I mean? The people that always their situations worse than yours. You're telling them your shit, but they gotta, instead of them kind of being there hearing your shit out, right? They gotta, well, this happened to me, and then they just then you kind of then it's almost like they got to keep up with your fucking story. You're like, hold up, I'm just trying to level set and tell you what I'm going through, right?
I think there's a balance in that. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
In
No, for
my
sure.
recovery, I have learned that what I can do is relate to somebody and say, "Hey, this is what I've been through. I don't know exactly what you've been through, but here's what I've been through and here's how I've been able to overcome it." And I think that is okay. Where it
I
gets
just know
bad
you have to
is
know
when
your boundaries. You know what I
yes,
mean? I think
well,
within there.
where it gets bad is when somebody's talking and you try to like interrupt them, or you don't give them space, or you don't give them that opportunity to share. And I struggle with that sometimes, right? Because I've gotten to the point where I'm learning how to share my experiences to help somebody else. Other people still need that minute and a half or 2 minutes or whatever it is to share their story. And so something that my husband actually explained to me is like, if somebody is sharing something heavy and hard with you, take a minute to pretend like it's a ball. Okay, they have this ball. They don't want you to play with the ball. They don't want you to throw the ball. They don't need you to fix the ball. They just want you to look at this ball and to ask questions about the ball. And so the idea is, okay, so somebody is sharing something and you just take this ball and you're like, oh, and you give space for this person to tell you about their ball. And then you start asking questions about their ball. Well, how does it make you feel? Oh, this is what I'm hearing you say. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm noticing. You're not fixing the ball. You're not throwing the ball away, and you're not handing it back right away. And you're not saying, oh, I've got your ball. Here, take my ball. No, you're giving them space to talk to you about this ball. And then when they're ready, you say, well, thank you for sharing your ball with me. I'm going to give this ball back to you. And then you can say, hey, by the way, I know that you just told me about this ball. Can I tell you about mine? And so then you share your ball. And so
And that's
sometimes
good.
I try to stuff my ball in their face
In the middle of it. Yeah.
but I'm trying to say, no, let me look at their ball. Let me talk to their ball and then give it back to them. And then I can say, exactly. And so I think that it's this balance, and you can share your story with someone without it being a one up, but give them space to experience their ball
I
before
think
you do that.
it takes, it's something that I think that it takes time for people to learn, right? Is to learn how to allow someone that floor space to have the stage and kind of talk versus like throwing your hand up the whole time they're trying to tell their story, right? And then they're they're missing. They're probably not even getting their entire story out either, because now you're getting them to be in your head where you're fucking like, "Dot, dot, dot." Now we're trying to get them to be on the same dots, right? And I think that's something that's hard when you're having that back and forth, but you have to learn about timing, right? There's a good what you're saying may be valuable to them, but at that moment in time that you want to say it, it may not be so valuable, right? Because when someone is going through what they're going through, and I know this, well, and I'm going to talk from my perspective, right? When I'm in my shit, my brain is literally like fucking just like it is so micro focused or hyper focused. I wouldn't micro. It's not micro. This motherfucker's hyper focused on whatever that is, right? And so my brain is like constantly like, how do I make this better? I'm like, I feel like I gotta solve it, right? I don't even allow space sometimes. I'm getting better as I'm getting older, and I think that all that comes with learning patience, right? And good grief, I've learned a lot about patience and stuff like that, because I have always been an impatient son of a bitch. You could ask a lot of my friends, like party. I'm like they're fucking an hour early before the party. I mean, just I've always been that guy. But I think it's important as you get older, and we do start having these conversations, right? There's a lot of people out there that are just going through it. And we all think that our stories is better or worse than the others. But at the end of the day, what you got to realize is what you're going through is the fucking problem, right? It is the biggest thing going on for you, right? And Marie,
Yep.
there's I'll let you say your slogan out there about this, if you remember what, but there was a slogan that you made about something to this effect, right?
I
You
don't
don't remember
remember.
now? I feel like I fucking damn it. See, I missed oh, come on, you're supposed to help me out, Marie. Every time I do that, Marie just is like, "What are you talking about? You never can come to my damn savior, man." uh, but
Yeah.
anyhow,
Well,
but
okay, the big thing is like what I'm going through would kill you. What you're going
yes,
through will
yes,
kill
there it
me.
is. There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Gosh dang it, you just missed the cue on
Yeah, sorry.
it.
But yeah, that's the thing is like what you're going through is the biggest thing for you. You're the one that is uniquely qualified to feel this, to experience it. You are uniquely qualified with the tools that you have and the experiences that you have in the moment. This is your ball. You can't have my ball. My ball would be too heavy for you. Your ball would be too heavy for me because we each have our own individual experiences. And I just wanted to bring Peter into this conversation. What Peter was just saying. It takes a while for them to want to hand their ball to someone. Yes, that happens a lot because the reality is you have to know what's in your ball before you can tell somebody about your ball. Because otherwise, you're just handing somebody something and you're just like, here, deal with it. But they
And we
can't
have a lot
handle
of
it because
trust
they don't
issues, I
know.
think, in this community too, right? We've
Yes.
been burnt by, you know, X, Y, or Z, or we just feel some kind of way, a lack of trust. Um, this community is kind of hard with a lot of that stuff. And the way that we've been trained, right, with how to handle sensitive information or how to handle things that make us have feelings, right? We're not good at that. And we, and I think that's why we bring out this show, is to kind of talk about, make it a little easier for yourself and feel a little more comfortable to talk about the feelings a little bit. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and that's why we call this. That's why our big thing is healing out loud. Is the thing is you. Some people don't even know what's going on with their ball in their life. And so what we do is we give people an opportunity to come talk about it because you have to know what's going on with yourself before you can share something with somebody else. So here we kind of give some people that come on the show already know what's going on within them and they're already healing and they're already sharing and they're already advocating. But we've had other people on here who've never shared their story at all. They didn't even know what was going on. And so we just gave them space to step back and to share what they had going on. And they started identifying this ball that they've been holding on and they're like, I've never told anybody this before. And so that's the thing, is the biggest thing is you've got to identify what's going on within you before you can share it with other people. And so just make sure that you are looking inside and checking out what you have going on in order to be able to heal out loud and share it with other people. And Peter, awesome. I'm so grateful that you're sharing on here. You just told us that you had 12 DUIs, and you're talking about 12-day coma, died twice in my living room at the hands of police officers, charged with nothing, on a recovery goal for 8 years. Like, this is wonderful that you are here sharing your story with us, because this is the opportunity that this is why we're here. We're here to give you guys a voice so that we don't have people continuing to join the 22. We're trying to honor people here. And so I love that you're here identifying what you have going on, and that you're sharing with us and you're healing out loud with us. This is beautiful. What's the 24-hour alcoholic? I no longer drink. I decided I would never put myself in that position again, and it worked for me. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. And I think
Sometimes
that's
that's what it
wonderful.
does. Sometimes it takes to hit that rock bottom, right? I mean, unfortunately, there's folks out there who don't necessarily want the help, right? And they just kind of go unhinged until they basically hit the ground. And then um, hopefully there's still people there around them that they haven't pushed everybody away to kind of help them through their time. Um, you know, that's just it. There's a lot of things going on in our world today. And I think that a lot of us have to be cognizant of that, and know that there's others out there suffering. And with through this show, we've learned a lot about others, and a lot of times when we bring someone on, even though I think we've had well over probably 200 guests by now. I mean, in total through all the years that I've been doing this, and I still to this day there's stories that come on there and resonate with me, and I'm like, gosh, damn, man, and it really it makes me think about something, and I lost my train of thought real quick, but I brought it back. But inside of our balls, right? Getting back to the ball thing, we have filing cabinets in those balls. We have safes in there that we've locked up and shit, right? Sometimes though, when you hand over that ball to someone else, sometimes some of those drawers start opening or doors
Mhm.
start opening because you're having that conversation. And what tends to happen on this show is it opens up filing cabinets or doors that people forgot about a little bit, right? But you put them in the right setting with the right people, that conversation can, like I said, unlock things, and it can talk about it, because a lot of us, the shit that we've been through or whatever, we don't go talking about it with our wives, our kids, our family, and our friends. Mostly, we don't, right? I mean, I don't, and I've pushed a lot of them away throughout the years. Throughout the years of just not wanting to talk to others, and just associating myself not with just my service, but with the world. Right? I've got to that place in my life now. I don't know. It's just like I said, when you are able to give someone the ball, you never know what that can open. And then as we are opening this show up, you guys are looking inside of a lot of others' balls right now. No, man, that sounded bad. That
I
sounded
did.
bad. Maybe we need to find another analogy than
Yeah,
fucking
maybe
balls,
a
right?
box.
Because
Let's call it a box.
yeah, let's call it a box. I mean,
But
I'm
that
sitting here
that
like balls,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh no, I'm like juggling over here now. Goodness gracious! But
yeah.
but anyhow, when we're ready to hand over our box to other, and like right here, we allow others to open their box right here on the show. And within that box, sometimes they're opening things that they have totally forgot, or they just didn't want to open it up. But this opened it up for them, and that's why we try to do this. And then, whether you want to listen or not, there's all the stories out there, and some of them may resonate with you, and some of them may not. But the thing about it is you just never know what story you're going to hear, and it may open up a drawer that you just thought was closed. Because like I said, we don't have a lot of these conversations with the general population. Less than 1% of the world has served, and there's like 4 to 6% that are currently veterans. So small population of folks. So you're probably not having these conversations all the time. So if you ever want to come on our show, by the way, and share your box with us, we'd love to open it up. And whatever you want to share inside that box, that's on you. You want to unload it all? Hey, we're here. So throw the confetti. You know what I mean? If you want to just share like onesies, twosies, little things, and just start there. But one thing that I've learned too is after we get off the show, a lot of times we'll have a little conversation between her and I, or our guests will stick around, and we'll find out like, wow, I didn't know that this was gonna do this for me, right? Until you come on the show, you don't realize what it actually does for you, and it's taken me a long time to get comfortable and talk about things that I've done, because some things in the world, probably people would love to shame it, but for me, others can learn from it, and I think that we got to get away from shaming others when they tell their stories, because when they're out there telling their story, that doesn't necessarily mean that's who they're still operating on, right? They're telling this because it's something that they went through. It's an experience that they don't want others to experience. You're never fucking gonna know nothing about me if I don't tell you. You're gonna hear stuff about me, I'm sure, and I swear to God, you don't need to take others' advice about me from others, right? Because they probably don't know me well enough to like me. You know what I mean? So you got a thought, I see.
So I was just going to say, and that what you just said kind of brings in what Peter said. So Peter said the old statement applies: three people can keep a secret if two of them are dead. Okay. Yes, that is
I like
the
that.
old
Hey,
mentality that I had. Okay. I had that mentality. It was, I need to keep stuff inside because people can use what I have to say as fodder, and they can hurt me, or they can hurt someone else, or they can misrepresent me, or this, that, and the other. But the thing that I have realized, okay, and I won't say his name on here because I don't want to shame him, but I had an experience where I was sharing my story. And as I was sharing my story, somebody reached out to me and destroyed me, or tried to, completely drug me down, talked so badly about me, and told me that I needed, I love this. I just thought it was the funniest thing, that I needed a golden dildo award for what I did in Iraq. Yeah. And so with that, it was because in my addictions, I was very promiscuous and I was in inappropriate relationships. I was running to distraction. And I am open about that. And I tell people on my stories, when I'm telling my stories, is like, this is where my addictions led me. You are not alone, because I know there's so many other people who have done what I did, and so I share that. And he took that and tried to completely shame me, telling me that I should not be opening up about this kind of stuff. I shouldn't be sharing this, and made some very negative comments, shaming some other people who did stuff like that and telling them they deserve to die. And I could not believe that he did that. And that almost tore me down. And that almost made me walk away from podcasting. And I was like, maybe my story doesn't need to be shared, and then I realized, screw that. Screw that. My story is my story. I am not going to be ashamed to tell my story. And yeah, I'm going to have assholes that are going to use it against me. But the reality is, one person is going to hear what I have to say, and it's going to save their life. And that's the
absolutely.
thing. So if you have things that you are too scared to share it anyway, because there's going to be one person that needs to hear it. And maybe it's just you staying alive because you were able to speak a truth that was killing you inside. And
Now,
so yes, you're going to have assholes that will take advantage of you. They will try to hurt you. But if you are doing things for the right reason, and Bryan and I were just having this conversation before, we were talking about, like the podcast and trying to find the motivation and continuing on and stuff like that. And the thing that we discussed is that idea, like, as long as our motivation is to be a healing presence for others and ourselves, it doesn't matter how many people hear it. It doesn't matter how many people, like, don't agree with us. The fact of the matter is that God's going to put this message into the heart of the one person who needs it in that moment. And that's what I have written in my book. Let's see if I can find it real quick, but it talks about that, for me, it's about writing. But I said, I hope I will never be ashamed to share my story. God has shown me that it has helped others find him. By sharing the light, he continues building my strength to fight another day. I know at the end of the journey, there will be complete peace and serenity. For now, I will continue to write and speak. God will direct my words to the individual who needs to hear them today. To anyone else struggling like I have with writing or speaking for an individual, instead of a majority opinion, I say just write or speak. Your thoughts, feeling, and entire existence is meant to be part of a bigger story that we will one day see, and you are meant to connect with individuals. For those who try to tear you down or who are envious and irritated, forget those who try to tear you down or who are envious and irritated. God may use your words to save a life today, and tomorrow they may save the life of the individual who tried to tear you down today. With God in your heart, just write and speak. So remember, share your story as you need to. Go ahead, Bryan. I know I
No,
keep going.
the thing about it is when someone's sharing their story, you don't know if it's the first time of them ever sharing this story or if it's the 20th time they're sharing their story, right? This could be the first time that the person ever had felt comfortable enough to come out and say, open this drawer that they've kept closed forever, but now they want to go through it and they want to open it up. And when you go and you bash someone, chances are they're going to be a little bit shy the second time around to do what they're going to do. And you do it again to them, and the fucking most likely they'll stop altogether. I don't understand what people gain for themselves by stopping or shaming someone else from their own stories. It's not you living in it. It's not your story. I get it. Some of these stories may not shed a good light on units, a branch, whatever it may be. But that doesn't define any of it, right? These are all stories that have happened to someone. And it doesn't mean that goes along the whole Marine Corps, the whole Army, Air Force, men, women. These are just stories that have happened. And we must, as a community, talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right? Because to make this community well, you got to make sure you cover all these areas. For one, we got to talk about the bad, right? Why? So we could get rid of that shit. Weed out these assholes and assholes that want to destroy this community and tear people down, right? So we need to talk about that kind of stuff. We need to talk about the sexual abuse, the things that are going on that should not be going on. And if we got to talk about it, then there's a fucking problem going on in our service. And these are things that have to be talked about, because if we don't talk about it, the shit will keep going down the road. So the more people that talk about these kind of things, the more they're going to start putting a fix on it. Be the squeaky wheel. Squeaky wheels get the attention, right? So in this community, we must say your story. Be okay to not be okay. Someone out there needs to fucking see that you're a strong, powerful individual willing to go talk about your good, bad, and ugly.
Well, and I'll say this, part of changing the dynamics is, like, for people like me, sharing what I participated in, because I participated in some of that unhealthy dynamics that are perpetuated into the military. Yeah, there was stuff that I kind of people taking advantage of me, but I was also taking advantage of situations. And so part of that is sharing not just what happened to us, but what we participated in to challenge those dynamics, to hopefully get those dynamics to change, and to say, hey, you don't have to act like this. Don't shame yourself for what you went through, because I went through that for years. I shamed myself because I was in the inappropriate relationships. I shamed myself completely because of my addictions and stuff. But part of changing that dynamic is saying, hey, I was not perfect. Here is what I did. And trying to change those dynamics. So we talk about what other people have done to us, but we also talk about what we have done, regardless on if other people are going to shame you and if other people are going to make you feel like shit, because I'm owning my past so that I can make amends and move forward.
And I think that a lot of people got to realize that just because you're talking about it doesn't mean you're still living in it, right?
Mhm.
Thing about it is that you're talking about how you were able to get yourself out of it. And if you're talking about being in the rut and this, you're still stuck in it, that's one thing. But a lot of what we try to do here, right, is talk about it, but also talk about how did we get ourselves in a better place? How did we get ourselves out of that situation, right? Because we don't
Yep.
want to just live in this thing. We want to start offering others tools and to put in their toolbox to get themselves through a situation. You never freaking know when you're going to need a pencil, a
Yep.
pen, a screwdriver, whatever it may be. And every single one of us carries around different instruments that the others don't have. So trade your fucking instruments with one another. So that way, one time or another, you might need that instrument.
Well, and that goes into what Peter was just saying. He's like, I hope religion isn't going to impede our friendship, right? Okay, religion is a tool that I have, and religion is the tool that Bryan has. But that doesn't have to be the tool that you have. You know, when we talk about, we share our experience, that because that's all we can share from. And so speaking our experience, we will talk about our religions. All right. But when we're talking about God, you know, the is like you choose whatever concept of higher power that works for you, whether it's God, whether it's, you know, Jesus. I got both of them in my back pocket, you know, or you've got universe, or you've got Buddha, or you've got, you know, the different types of deities, whatever you want, universe, nature, Gaia, whatever you want to use as your higher power. The idea is as we are sharing this, we are connecting on a level that is beyond us, and there is some form of energy connecting higher power out there that is there to help us find peace. So yes, we're going to share our tool, which is our religion, but you find your tool that works for you. You know, for me, I have to have religion and spirituality. So I have my religion and I've got spirituality, right? Because they don't always go hand in hand, right? Religion is just how I speak my spirituality. Okay. So I have my spirituality, but I also have my recovery groups, and I also have my veteran support groups, and I also have my podcasting, and I also have my therapy. I have to have multiple levels that are outside of myself of connection to help me to feel peace in my journey, to help me understand
And
what
that
my
works for
ball
Marie,
looks
right?
like.
Yep. And that
Huh?
works for you. And that works
Yes.
for Marie.
And that works for me. And so when we're on the show, we're just sharing our own tools. You know, you've got to
Absolutely.
find your tools on how to handle the traumas that you've been through, handle the losses that you've been through. As you know, we're talking today, Memorial Day. You know, we're talking about how we're handling the losses of the people
Oop.
gone on the other side, you know, and you have to decide what is going to work for you. But the thing that I've learned, recovery, mental health, spirituality, you got to treat it like a buffet. Okay. When you go to a buffet, you can't just look at the food and be like, oh, I want that. I don't want that. You can't just look at it. You can't, because everybody cooks things differently and everything has different flavors, and every buffet you go to is differently. So the way I look at it is you have to try the food. And so that's the same thing with the tools. Try the different tools, the different spirituality elements, different recovery, different therapy, whatever it is, you know, you've got to try it first to get a plate that you genuinely like, because you always do the test round. You go through and you try everything, and then you decide what you like, and that's what you go for seconds for. And that's how you have to treat recovery and spirituality and healing. You have to recognize that you have to try the things. You can't just contempt prior to investigation is the biggest thing that will damn you. Contempt prior to investigation. I'm not going to try it because it doesn't look good or because it's scary or because it didn't work for this person. No, you have to try it yourself. So use all of the recovery tools that are available as a buffet and try what works for you and then create your own plan.
I'm gonna kind of I want to talk about leveling the playing field, trying to fill all the holes we dug. Something that Peter said. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Peter, but the way I kind of visualize this, right, is I think that a lot of times when a lot of us are out there trying to speak and talk about our experiences, that maybe this is a way of we're trying to fill the holes that we have once dug, right? And now when you're out there trying to fill these holes and someone out there is trying to take your shovel away from you, man, it really definitely impacts you, so but we're gonna go ahead and play a quick video real quick of you want to explain this real quick?
Yeah. So on the live stream that I was before this was for the Price of Freedom. And so the Price of Freedom is an organization who is seeking to share the stories of those that we have lost, mostly through the eyes of the battle buddies and also the family members. So it's not just hearsay, like he is interviewing family members and battle buddies to get this person's full story. And so we're going to do a little intro video of what he's doing.
All right, here we go.
I'm the founder of the Price of Freedom Foundation. Welcome to our talk a little bit about why I think the Price of Freedom Foundation is important. The mission that we have is important. We are dedicated to telling the life stories of those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who died while in military service to our nation. Each of these people paid that ultimate price. Their lives ended sooner than they should. I believe that those lives need to be honored and remembered, done so in a way that is more in depth than what we currently do. What we're about is telling the full story. Certainly we want to talk about their service to the nation, but we want to talk about more, who they were as a person, what made them unique, what were their hopes and dreams, what were they good at, what did they struggle with, how did their loss impact their families and their friends. So that's really the heart and soul of who we are and what we do. So what we want is for you to hopefully join us and join us in this mission. There are very few people in this country who have had the ability to tell their loved one's story completely. We believe that every family should have that opportunity, and that's what we're here to provide. So we will find as many people that knew your lost loved one as possible, do in-depth interviews with them, accept copies of other things that are going to be important for telling their story, provide this information to a professional biographer, produce a full biography in hardbound editions to you as a family member, and make other copies available to the general public. We want to tell their story to a wider audience, as wide of an audience as possible. And so that means that we're going to take the videos that we make while we're doing those interviews and tell that story in a video documentary style as well, to as wide of an audience as possible. Because we know that we don't want your loved one to be forgotten. I know you don't want that either. And we want, through the books, to be able to give you something that will be handed down to future generations so that they won't have to be dependent upon the current generation to tell that story. So please join us and help us bring this mission and this vision to reality for every Gold Star family. Thank you.
Ah, dang it. All right, there we go. Got to get ourselves right.
Yeah. So Dennis, again, he was on our podcast. His episode will be coming up soon. But his whole thing with he wants to do the books, but at some point when they get the funding, they want to do a video documentary on each individual person that they do the video. Or that they do the book. So if you have a story to tell, or if you know somebody who has a story to tell, or if you are interested in financing somebody's story to be told, please reach out to the Price of Freedom Foundation.
Yeah, I think that is a super awesome thing that they're doing over there, because there's so many stories. There is so many stories that come out of the battlefield, right? And we can't possibly hear them all. A lot of them are, it's hard for others to talk about, right? Especially someone who may have been right in the thick of it with that person and they lost them. Uh, Sometimes having to tell the story is uncomfortable for that person, because it just brings back all those bad memories that they had to go through. So I think it's hard, but it's important, because here in the USA, we really like to glorify the cinema world. Movie theater, the actors and actresses who are, they're just out there, they're doing stunts and shit. While we have real people living the day in, day out life, it's important that we share their stories. And that's why, once again, that's why this show is important. We find this as a vessel, as a way to tell other stories. Once it goes into this digital world, it's out there forever. Now we're making a library, and it's not just this podcast doing it. There's many other podcasts doing the exact same thing, and that's why it's awesome to have as many podcasters as we do, because it is so important. But
Thank you, Peter.
You have an amazing day yourself, bro, and we really appreciate you coming in and interacting with us. Pretty much been us and you talking the whole time, but we really appreciate you, man. Have an amazing day.
Yeah, come check out the podcast, and if you're interested, come share your story with us. We would love to have you. And if you're not comfortable being online, you can just email us your story. So whatever you would like. But thank you so much for coming, Peter.
Yeah, Peter, you're awesome, dude, man. But I think it, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable telling your story, let's start here. How about you write your story out, and you don't even have to put your name out there. If you want to put sergeant, corporal, or maybe just your rank that you were at the end, maybe you do want to say your name, whatever it may be, and you just don't feel comfortable coming out here and being in front of a speaker and all that stuff. I get it. Took me a long time to do it myself. But damn it, that doesn't mean that no one wants to hear your shit and your story. We want to hear them all. So, again, you can email myself or Marie, and we will make sure that we tell your story. Right there, sliding right now, Marie's email is marie@sliderbabe.com. And for myself, it's every day's a Saturday, 365@yahoo.com. And we want to hear them.
So one of the biggest things that I have heard lately when I'm asking somebody if they're interested in sharing their story, the exact words are, "I don't have a story," or "My story's not worth to tell." I've got nothing to talk about. And I'm like, no, screw that, because you have a story. You being here means you have a story.
Yeah,
Everybody has a story.
Yeah, nothing.
And you don't realize that something in your story is going to affect somebody else. Your story matters. I've got another book, or another Till Valhalla Project shirt that says your story matters. Every person's individual story matters. You are a whole person. You are not the pain of your past. You are not what other people have said about you. You are a whole story. You are a whole book in yourself. So if you're sitting there saying, "I don't have a story," yes, you do. We've had family members that are on here, right? That we kind of focused a little bit about their military service, but we talked about their entire story, because everybody has a story to tell. So please remember, if the people, okay, here is the thing that I hate. If people around you are making you think, and I'm going to cry with this, if people around you are making you think that you don't matter, find your people, because there are people that will love you and they will respect you and they will help you find your love. Sometimes it is inside of us. There's changes that we need to make inside of us, right? There's patterns of behavior that we have to do, but sometimes the environment is too powerful. Okay. So get the hell out of that environment and find people that will support you. I know so many veterans and so many non veterans that are struggling because they just don't have people around them that love them. Okay. And so, yes, we need to learn how to be at peace no matter what is going on. And that is where the recovery work comes in. You can be on fire and find peace, but sometimes the environment is too big for you to grow. So get out of that environment. Find your squad, find your people, because there are people that will love you. And if you are sitting there thinking nobody can love you and no one can appreciate you, please know that I would and Bryan would. There are people that can love you. So please find your people. You are not alone.
Absolutely. It's important, and uh, I know when you're in the shit of it all, it's hard for your mind to get to think anything positive at all. Um, but I could assure you that there's someone that thinks more positive about you than you even think, right? Um, and you leave people with a lot of heartache when you do such a thing like that. But uh, I just want to say, this one a little bit longer than we expected. But what do you think with us? Anything's gonna be like 30 minutes? I fucking don't think so. Um, we could do 30, 40 minutes just talking by our damn selves easy. So
Yeah.
get us both chapping away. We can just go forever. This has been real fun, and maybe we'll try to see if there's a way that we can kind of do some more lives, maybe once a month or something, and kind of start building up the community where we can have a little bit more some conversations and bring you guys in. Like Peter was very active in the comment section. We appreciate that because it is awesome to hear back from you guys and get some feedback and hear where everybody else is at. And like I said, don't feel that your story is so insignificant that no one needs to hear about it. You're wrong. I want to hear about it. All right. I'm a
So do
nosy
I.
son of a bitch. Let me know. You know what I mean? I want to know it all. Give me the, because I want to hear, I promise you this. If you served and you went through boot camp or MCT or SOI or whatever the Army calls all that bullshit to, you got stories, I assure you. You've seen things that happen to someone else, even if it, I mean, I don't know how many guys get smoked in boot camp and have some amazing stories to say in there, but everybody has something to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, Clemson is just saying, I work in a high school and my morning duty was to stand by the bathroom to stop kids from fighting and vaping.
Oh
It's
my
so hard to
God.
go to work and you don't feel safe for the first 30 minutes of your day. Torture. And that has to be rough. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and willing to share that with us. That sounds like it's got to be tough, and I'm so sorry that you're having to deal with that. And I
That's
think that it's
that.
wonderful that you are there working to be a safe place for those kids. And
Clemson, I got to
yours,
imagine your patience is a lot greater than
yeah,
most.
and your story matters too. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Absolutely. I would love to hear others. I mean, like I said, everybody has something in their life that's going on, and we don't even know. And it could be just as simple as going into work nowadays, right? We don't know what is going to happen there in the workplace. Even dealing with kids, these kids are getting unruly. Holy shit, we got them walking out of schools and everything now. I mean, I mean, my gosh, I commend you for volunteering or working um in the high school and working with kids, dealing with someone else's kids, because most parents nowadays are not at home. They got to work. Some of them got to go get out double, triple jobs to make it in this environment. So we are, our youth is suffering, but you just never know once again what someone is going through. So make sure you guys take the time to stop and greet each other, say hi. That damn it, these phones have really made us not social human beings anymore. And everybody wants to text someone when they're sitting right next to them. It's like, oh, um, but we think everybody out there, and like we said, everybody has a story, and we're willing to share your story, whether it be you coming on the show or us just reading it out there, whatever it may be. We're willing to put it out there so others can hear it, and maybe we can save others' lives as well.
Well,
You
and
want to say
again,
anything before we head out?
yeah, and again, as Bryan said, today is Memorial Day, and we got to share the names of some of those that we both knew that passed
Just a
away.
very
If
snippet.
Yes, very small, very small. But if you have names that you would like us to read on our show, please send us their stories, send us their names. We
Let
will
us say their
honor
name.
them on the show. So send us everything and everything that you would like us to share, because we want to honor those that fell, not just today as Memorial Day, but continuously and always. Again, we want to honor their memory so they live on forever and continue to speak their name. So I just had
If we put it out there
I
digitally, it's out there forever, guys.
yeah.
So
But
that's, we say these names, they'll be heard.
I was just speaking with somebody the other day, and she lost her person, and she was just like, Marie, I am scared that no one will know our story. And so I told her, I said, write your story, and people will know it and people will hear it. Everybody's story matters. So again, share with us the names and let us speak them to you.
You know what's even wild about all this is we don't even think about what this could be 20 years, someone down the line, right? Just scrolling through YouTube and all, or whatever, and these old videos come up and they see these people talking and stuff like that. We're giving, everybody basically a video capsule of all this stuff, right? Like this is stuff that people can watch later down the road, and like 100 years from now they can see all the shit we were going through as a society or as communities, and how we were dealing with it, right? So the more that we can talk about this stuff, the more that it's going to get out there. And like I said, it may not impact someone today, but it could impact someone 20 years from now. You just never know, right? Because there's so many impactful stories that come out from Vietnam, World War II, World War I. You just talk about all these big wars. We're hearing about stories today because of the ability to hear them, and some of them just amaze me, and they really give you a little bit more of a appreciation, right? And especially if you ever deployed and you had a chance of going through the suck and dealing with that shit. It really can bring back, especially the people that were living in the jungles in the Vietnam and stuff like that. My gosh. Um, it's amazing what a lot of these men and women have been through. And you just don't know what they're carrying inside here. A lot of they just keep it closed, right? And like I said, we're trying to, hey, open it up. We want to get these stories out. We're not going to be here for long, man. So like, hey, let's go ahead and get these stories out there. I want to say something real quick, and this is I hate to kind of end this way, but I meant to mention this earlier. I just recently moved to a place called Escondido, California, and there was a big story out of here that just happened. Uh, a veteran who was very prideful of American flags, was a Trump supporter, and he had his whole yard just filled with flags, all kinds of American flags. He's just very happy, and he has some Trump ones in there as well. 64-year-old Vietnam veteran out there hanging up a new flag. Here comes a 31-year-old veteran who has been suffering from PTSD, mental health, all the signs were there. That the wife was talking about him trying to get help, just never was getting the help that he needed. He fucking stomped out a fellow veteran because he didn't like the flags and stuff. He beat the living shit out of this guy.
He was triggered. He was triggered
And now,
with
and the
everything.
funny, not the funny part about this is the sad part about this is they actually would cross paths and say hello to each other. So I don't know what finally made this guy who he was like they called him a geek, a dork. They said he played video games and he was into Star Wars and things like that. And then out of the blue, he goes and stomps this guy to where he is on his last. I mean, they don't think he's going to make it through, unfortunately. So I just would like everybody out there to pray for that gentleman, and hopefully he can recover through it. And if he doesn't, just pray for his wife and his family that are going to have to deal with that. But it's sad
So
that we have so much hate and stuff in our own community, and mental health is a problem. And if someone out there screaming for help, guys, fucking take it serious.
well, this is one of those situations, right, where it is so heartbreaking what happened. And my heart has compassion for both of them, you
Yeah.
know, and this is where it goes into there's no evil people, there is evil actions. You know, the person themselves, like it sounds like that veteran, he was struggling so hard and didn't get the help that he needed, whether by choice or whatever the circumstance was. And so this guy putting up these flags at some level triggered this guy who, or activated his trauma response is a better word. Like we say trigger, but activated his trauma response. And so his trauma response was he felt scared for whatever, and in that you react with violence. That's what sometimes happens, is we react with anger. And so being in recovery from trauma and addictions myself, I can see the compassion for this guy. It does not excuse his actions. What he did was evil. And I am so sad that happened for this other gentleman. And I pray and I hope that he will find peace, whatever may happen, whether he goes to the other side or he stays. And I pray that his family finds peace in whatever happens. And I also have compassion for this man, even though what he did was evil. So I hope that he can finally get the help that he needs.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I said, mental health is to be taken serious. I know a lot of people out there cry wolf and stuff like that, and there is people out there that are in dire need of help. Like, I mean, and you can really see it. Like these people, like it is all over their face. I mean, it is hard to miss how some of these people are. And this guy was just very disconnected and stayed away from everybody. So I don't think anybody other than his wife, who I guess she'd been trying to get him help, just really struggled with it all. And the signs were there, she said. And so it's just, like I said, when someone's going through it, don't fucking ignore them, because you're like, ooh, they're going through something. I don't know if I want to, no, someone might need a little ledge to grab or just a little rope to hold themselves above or a little something. Lifeline.
Support them, be there for them, and also remember that you are not responsible whatever they may do. And
Right.
here is a big thing that I will say, right? Because there's a lot of people, like when we have the people who were killed in war, but we have a lot of people who are taking their lives since we've gotten back. And we've talked about this a lot. But remember that you can be there, but ultimately you cannot make the choice for them to stay here.
Right.
You cannot make the choice for these people to not hurt somebody else. This is an internal choice that these people have to make. And so you can be sad, and this is the responsibility of emotions. And I talked about this. I just got back I did a week-long cohort, a veteran cohort for mental health and stuff like that. And what we talked about was the responsibility of emotions. Okay. Sometimes if somebody kills themselves or if they hurt somebody else, we go into this guilt. Well, I should have done something. I should have known. I should have done this. And then they go into the shame spiral. But the reality is guilt is for intentional harm. Okay? It is okay to feel guilt when you do intentional harm. Okay? However, what you are feeling is remorse. You made a choice based on the choices in front of you, and there's an unintended consequence. Maybe you didn't call that person today, and there's an unintended consequence. They made a choice to end their lives today. That doesn't mean that it's your fault that they did it. It means that you are remorseful because you wish you would have called. And so if you hold on to that responsibility of guilt, and then the underlining everything that's actually really going on is mourning and grief. You are sad that you could not be there for that person. You are sad that that person made this decision to leave or to hurt someone else. You are mourning the life of that friend, the life of that person. And so if you find yourself feeling guilty for somebody else's choices, remember to identify that that is an inappropriate responsibility of emotions. And it doesn't mean that it's bad, but it's inappropriate for the situation. And try to bring yourself back into, why am I sad? What am I feeling? There is grief and there is loss that I didn't show up a certain way, or that they aren't here anymore. And so feel that mourning and that grief.
Yes. Thank you so much. And what a great show this turned out to be. I know we said we were going to head out. We really got to head out this time because we
Yes.
are cutting it short on, the time is good. We're going to max out on the time. We weren't even going to do this. We
Yeah.
weren't going to do like 30, 40 minutes or an hour. But it's great conversation. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing week out there. Please, if you're feeling some kind of way, please reach out, get some help, get the help you need. Don't be afraid to talk about it. There's people out there that'll help you. And if you want to be discreet and don't want anybody to know your shit, call the Crisis Lifeline. Don't give them your name. Just tell them you need help. And I don't think they can solve your problems, but maybe they can give you some resources to help you through your problems. And just know that no one's going to be able to solve your problems. So we might be able to help you and ease you through, but you have to work on yourself. This is something that we all have to do. It's a mission. We're living for ourselves, everybody. We breathe for ourselves and we make our decisions for ourselves. We should, at least. But anyhow, we love you guys. We hope you have an amazing day, amazing week. Remember how we say on the show, don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. We'll see you guys on the next one. All right.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.